At this time, I would like to call the regular session of the Kansas City Board of Public Utilities meeting to order. We'd like to welcome all listening or viewing this meeting of the Kansas City Board of Public Utilities, whether in person or through technology. This meeting is being recorded, both video and audio. During the visitors' comment section of the agenda, community members who wish to speak will be asked to provide their name and address, and then will be given 3 minutes. Members of the public using Zoom that wish to address the board need to use a raise hand feature at the bottom of the application to signal that they wish to address the board during the visitor comment section. In addition, there will be public comment section after the general manager's staff reports. During this section, the public may comment on this evening's presentations. Members of the public connected by phone only need to press *9 to indicate they wish to address the board in the visitors' comment section. Those attending in person should sign up on a sign-up sheet near the entry. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and should be directed to the board. As these comments are public, the board cautions visitors to not disclose confidential account information or information on an account that is not in their name. Staff will not provide additional individual account information or history in an open meeting. As always, the public may also email or call the BPU with any concerns. The agenda and presentations may be found on the BPU website, or if you're using Zoom, they will appear on your screen. As a reminder, this is a business meeting of the Board of Directors, and we will conduct the meeting accordingly. The following rules apply to this meeting. Every person in this room will act respectfully towards each other. Personal attacks and accusations towards any person will not be tolerated. State your specific issue to the board only. We will then determine staff's involvement, and attendees shall refrain from side discussion or individual commentary that interferes with speakers or other attendees at this meeting. If side discussion is necessary, please take it outside the boardroom. If any of the above rules are breached during the meeting, the individual is subject to removal from the boardroom. My name is Tom Groneman. I'm 2nd District member and president of the board. Other members of our board and staff include General Manager Bill Johnson, David Haley, member at large, position number 2 and board vice president, Stevie Wakes Sr., 1st District and board secretary, Brett Parker, 3rd District, Mary Gonzalez, member at large, position number 1, Rose Mulvaney Henry, member at large, position number 3, and Angela Lawson, acting chief counsel. Please remember to place your phones on silent. Please be aware that microphones are very sensitive and can pick up and record comments made anywhere in the room. Before we begin our meeting, please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Angela.
Roll call. Gonzalez.
Here.
Groneman.
Here.
Haley.
Present.
Wakes.
Here.
Mulvaney Henry.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Before I ask for a motion to approve the regular session agenda of August 7th, 2024, are there any comments or additions, corrections to the agenda?
I move approval of the agenda.
I second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Roll call. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Groneman.
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
Wakes.
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Okay. Before I ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the work session of July 17, 2024. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
Move to approve.
Wake second.
Roll call, please.
Roll call Gonzalez.
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Okay, before I ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the regular session of July 17th, 2024, are there any comments? Corrections, additions to the minutes?
We just did.
I move approval of the minutes of the regular session. Wake second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Roll call Gonzalez,
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Okay, at this time, I'll turn the meeting over to General Manager Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Kaylee, is there anyone signed up to speak tonight? Thank you. First person signed up to speak tonight is Rodney Lucas. If you can come up to the podium.
I think he left.
He left, okay. The next one is it Sarah Harding or Kent? Okay, sorry if I pronounced your first name wrong. If you can come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please, and you have 3 minutes.
My name's Scott Harding. My address is 13786 Valley View Way, Bonner Springs, Kansas.
And you did say Scott?
Excuse me?
Scott?
Scott.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know. Can anybody hear me on this thing? Okay. I'm here today for some of the older people, the poor, and some of the senior citizens around the city that's having problems with keeping their property and staying in their rental property. Myself, I'm a senior citizen. And the thing is, we're having problems doing this. Some people have already lost it. We're trying to get it to under control where Wyandotte Countyans can stay in their houses. And the way they've got it set up now, you have to, you only can make $23,000 to get assistance. Well, that's way out of whack for nowadays because everything's so damn high. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to help them, and you guys are going to be part of it because you're voted in by everybody out here and everybody that's on Zoom and on the internet and everything else. So we would like you guys to have some compassion and to go revenue neutral on this stuff. And another question I have, I don't know if you can answer this, but on June 15th, you guys were supposed to have, of that 2024, was supposed to have your audit done. Has that audit been completed yet? Because I haven't seen any copies of it.
Yes, it's been
Yes, it
completed.
has.
It's being,
It's been completed.
okay, I haven't seen it yet, and that's for 23? Okay, but, like I said, we're trying to get something going on here to where people can survive in this city without losing their houses. The mayor stated that we had 4,000 people already gone already this year. And that's a big chunk. And some of the things that we're seeing is a lot of the money that's given out on some of these projects, they're giving the money out to them on different projects, and they're not getting any return, no tax base back. And then when they get this money and they have the property and the buildings built, the developer actually sells it to a Chinese company and they make $120,000 on the deal, but Wyandotte County
30
doesn't get it.
seconds.
You guys have got other things going on too, so we really need to look at things and sort of get it back in order. And I hope you guys look at it, and once everybody gets started, maybe, it might take a while, but with your guys' help and the public, I think we can do something good for everybody. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
All right, thank you, sir. Next, sign up, speak tonight is Louise Lynch. Can you come up to the podium? State your name, address for the record, then you have 3 minutes.
Can everyone hear me? Yeah,
There, I think that microphone goes that way, does it?
thank you. Louise Lynch, Kansas City, Kansas. I want to address tonight the elephant in the room. I have not been to any of these meetings in a while due to my health.
Ms.
And-
Ms. Lynch, we can hear her if you can, but we're also hearing your hand on the mic.
Okay,
It's okay. Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
I also was told by my doctors not to come, but this is too important. I want to talk about last week's UG meeting in regards to the pilot and in regards to what was stated by the administrator or insinuated that the collection of the pilot over quite a number of years, he insinuated that it was against or participating in illegal activity. He didn't use those exact words, but that was his insinuation, and remove the pilot, suggested removing the pilot, I think he said September, October, somewhere in there. And then they were going to do a 1% decrease in the pilot fee. But as history has shown, it's not what the administrator says, it's what he doesn't say and what he does about that. So for instance, taking the pilot off of our bills is a great thing. We've been fighting for that forever. However, we were fighting for not just take it off, but to relieve us of that burden. Instead, it's just been geography, and he has shifted it from taking it off the bill and now leaving BPU no other choice but to put it on our rates, on the taxpayers' rates, on the customers' rates. But he didn't mention it that night. He just made everybody excited that he was doing that. So that means that you all are probably going to raise our rates another 12%. We can't afford the rates that are now. But what is really concerning me is the questions we need to be asking. If they understood that this was illegal activity, you collecting these pilots, let's go back when it started.
You
like
have
close
30
to
seconds.
1988 and forward. Let's look at all those administrations from Mr. Steininger all the way up to now. All the people who have engaged in this activity, including the commissioners, the administrators, the mayors, and the attorneys. And I want to talk specifically about the attorneys now because they are your representation and they represent the UG. If this was found to be against the law, they are your legal counsel for you guys and for us, the residents.
And that's time.
And that means that they have violated their ethics and their codes in Rule 5.5 and Rule
That's your 3
1.1
minutes,
of the
ma'am.
Kansas statutes. Just give me a couple of seconds more, please. Is not acceptable. If this is true, then all of the above need to be charged with fraud. And the statute says that the legal counsel that did not advise you that this was illegal activity or you participating in this money being done wrongly, unlawfully, should cease immediately their counsel from this organization and the UG. That's according to the Kansas rules. So I move for that you guys move to do something about that and to protect us and to not raise our rates. This cannot be acceptable, and we should be refunded that money with interest. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Next, next person signed up is Pamela Hicks. If you can please come up to the podium, state your name again and address for the record, please, and you have 3 minutes.
Pamela Penn Hicks.
Could you pull the mic back, up, please? Thank you, thank you.
I just want to reiterate what you just heard from Ms. Louise Lynch. This is a very serious situation that we are facing, particularly if, first of all, we were not told the truth by our county administrator about the consequences, and we were admonished actually at the meeting for not showing more excitement, but we knew there had to be another shoe to drop. And finding out that our BPU is still responsible to the UG for this payment and how you will be able to finance that. And the only methodology you really have is through your ratepayers. That's extreme concern to all of us. We have just fought the battle of going revenue neutral. We have just fought the battle of sustaining these rates that you have put in place for 23, 24, and 25. The community is maxed out. I'm hearing from people in Piper, Argentine, Armadale, Rosedale, all of these areas of town, not just the old traditional Northeast area, but other areas of town who are now saying, we are maxed out and we cannot tolerate any more increases. People are trying their best to conserve. In fact, you demonstrated that in your rate consumptions charts a few weeks ago, that people are cutting back on their services, their water and their electrical use, in order to conserve while they're still getting extremely large bills. So something has to give here. We need some creativity, we need some compassion, and we need you to figure out how. You may not be able to make the UG quit spending, but at some point in time, the community has to have some relief. So we're asking for you all to take that to them and find a better way in which to pay for that amount of money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Next on up tonight to speak is Aaron Coleman. If you could come up to the mic, state your name, address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Aaron Coleman, 1316 South 52nd Street. I live in Turner, Kansas. Just want to say hats off to the recently reelected senator in his primary. That was very good. It was good to serve with you in the legislature and just bringing back a legislative memory, serving with a former representative from Johnson County delegation. We had a lot of good conversations in the alleyway. It was Brett Parker. Good to see you as well. A memory from the legislature. I know we passed revenue neutral from the legislature. That was a legislative decree that the local governments had to essentially have a special meeting or exceed that number. And I would just say 8 months ago, my dad was a Air Force veteran, and he is now in heaven. He has passed away. He is no longer here. And the VA has cut my family's VA compensation in 1/5. And we no longer water our lawn. We no longer fertilize our lawn, which might be better for the environment, but it's been very hard on my family. And I would strongly suggest that maybe take a look at the Turner region, which for a long time has been the breadbasket of Wyandotte County. Turner's long time in a farming community. And when you have some of the wealthy families from Turner come to your podium, since we no longer have that money, maybe you should go back to 1980s and go back to that rate. That would be proposition number 1. And second proposition is just cut your salary, please. Cut your salary to $100 a month. I would ask you to cut your salary to $100 a month and find a way to live off that. I'm currently unemployed and have been for the last 3 years. If you Google my name, there is no way for me to have a respectable job, and I refuse to go back to manual labor. So find a way for my family to keep our house in the family, please. That would be my second proposition, is cut your salary, because it's too hard with my dad gone. He would be the man at this podium if he was still alive. It would not be me. We would not need to be here if we still had his VA salary, but we don't. And thank you for your time, and thank you to the senator and the former representative. I appreciate our time in the legislature. It's been very pleasant knowing you both.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Next, that is signed up tonight to speak is CC Harlan. CC, can you state your name, address for the record in 3 minutes? Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Cece Harlan. I live in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. And I gotta, instead of cutting your salaries, start cutting some of those top director salaries. That would be more beneficial to the people. I'm gonna piggyback off of some things that Ms. Louise was talking about. I came to y'all a little while ago about the attorney on the board. But I don't think that I clarified the fact that I'm at a law firm. I think that it's unethical, questionable, highly questionable. And as you heard what was going on, this is the reason why you need a different law firm. They represent not only your board, the Unified Government Board, KCKCC, and USD 500. I feel like that's wrong, especially when you have to question their, because if I remember correctly, Mr. Haley told me last time, I don't think that these lawyers are doing anything illegal. When I'm telling you that, yes, sir, there are some questionable things going on with this law firm as it comes to the representation of these boards. They're not advising you correctly, as you've heard allegedly, but we believe this because we do our due diligence. We sit at home and we go down these long rabbit holes to find out what's going on with these boards. I don't agree that y'all should cut y'all salary, but I do agree that the salaries on the top should be reviewed, should be reconsidered to give people a break. I don't think that you should make compensation for that pilot fee out of raising our rates, because we've already come up here and we've said we can't afford anymore, and we've done it at every board, and we will come here again. And I'm going to make sure that people know what's going on. The last thing I want to say is that the unified government instructed you guys to give the Monarchs or the sporting complex the old rate, the one that you told us that you could not absolutely keep us at that rate, because you needed to do infrastructure. But y'all gonna give people that have money a break when the people are telling y'all that we're broke. Y'all giving somebody out here who makes good money, who gets all kind of breaks from y'all and gets star bonds and everything else. Y'all giving them a break on their utilities, but you're not
30
gonna give us a
seconds
break.
left.
But you're not gonna give us a break. That's what I gotta say about that. That's what I gotta say.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Rob, is there anyone online waiting to speak?
Yes, sir, but I don't have a name. All I have is iPhone, so I'm allowing them to speak now. You'll need to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, could you state your name and address for the record? And you have 3 minutes, please.
All right, thank you. This is Ty Gorman at 2843 Parkwood Boulevard, KCK. First, I want to thank Scott for coming up. We are fighting for people who have created this beautiful KCK community to stay in their homes and stay safe. And sorry, I can't be there in person. I'm not feeling unwell today, but Miss Hicks, Miss Lynch, and CC for addressing. If the UG is just trying to put more flat fees on electric and water charges and hide it in the bill, just bury it in the rates, even though it's an unreasonable percentage of a pilot fee, misleading about the consequences of shifting that fee, board members should not be should not allow and not approve that kind of rate hike and disingenuous move. The stormwater and trash also shouldn't be on the bill or in a way that leads to disconnects for vulnerable bill payers. I and others have pointed out plenty of deficiencies in how the UG forces those least able to pay taxes to do so in flat and regressive charges, while using the BPU to give to be a bill collector and give economic development breaks to the richest in the western part of the county. So I just call on the board and staff to advocate with the people, continue to advocate with the people for a fair utility rate that does not have those hidden giveaways. I also wanted to, well, I hope to address the 20-year integrated resource plan, or IRP, as was scheduled for today. I think that might have been in closed session, so I'll save that and address the disconnects that were talked about in the policy review session at 4 p.m. And my main ask is, why can't we assess risk and need for assistance through outreach before any disconnect? The disconnect policy as it is and as it was changed today still fails to take into account the health dangers of these disconnect actions, where we can't get people the text or call before disconnecting or charging late payments. That was talked about that the previous eligibility for disconnection from any time, the schedule doesn't mean they're correctly
30 seconds
uh,
left.
they've been correctly listed for disconnect. There's a lot to say about these disconnect policies. I'll just say that I myself was placed on a disconnect schedule because I didn't have, because I think on the BPU staff side, you didn't have the right phone number in there. I didn't have adequate notice when I tried to correct that. It was very difficult. I couldn't pay on the phone. The automatic payment was disallowed because of a IT issue.
That
There's
is for
so
30
many
minutes.
individual problems that can happen in this process. There needs to be a person-to-person conversation before a
That was 3
disconnect to make
minutes.
sure that no one's going to die when that disconnect happens, and that we can have a safe utility disconnect policy. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Gorman, for your comments.
Rob, is there anyone else?
No, sir, there are no other hands raised.
Thank you. So the board is. I'm sorry. You need to sign up. Before you come up, I'm gonna go ahead and just ask if there's anyone else that wants to speak tonight, if you can go ahead and sign up too, please. Thank you. You state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Sarah Lynch, Wyandotte County resident. I would just like to say for the record, we know that you guys were not consulted in terms of these hikes that as they were being considered. And as you guys are now having to consider them, we're also aware that when the hikes are raised, when the rates are raised, it won't just be everyone, that there are businesses like the Monarchs that have it written in their contracts that they will be insulated from any future raises. Personally, it feels like that was almost premeditated at this point, but that is irrelevant to this present point. I would ask that you guys protect us, the residents, from these rates, because if it was illegal to take these pilot fees, then it was illegal for the UG to accept the pilot money in the first place. And I would ask that you guys would look into maybe some sort of legal action against the UG in terms of protecting your clients and protecting BPU. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
All right, Mr. President, we'll go ahead and close out this section and move on to the general manager staff reports. But before I get started, I will ask the board if they want to move financials to consent agenda, or do you want to just, or
It wouldn't technically be a consent agenda. It would be if you want to move forward with or without presentation.
Mr. President, I would waive the presentation of the financials at this evening's meeting, recognizing that I believe there's an approval required on one of them. So we would move straight to the approval and a vote.
I second.
Accept it. Presentation, the report. As the written thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna modify that. I would move that we waive the verbal presentation of the financials, but understanding that we have an obligation to render an approval of the actual written presentation of the financials in lieu of the oral presentation. That was a motion, sir.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Now, can I ask a clarifying question? Is this motion both to waive the report and to do the approval,
It's to do,
just the first?
it's to do the approval on the written report.
Okay,
Is my understanding. I don't want.
thank you, President.
Randy's here.
Okay, we have a motion,
We had a second.
and a second.
Would you like a roll call?
Roll call, please.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Groneman,
No.
Haley,
Not pass.
no,
Either or.
No,
Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
That motion carries.
okay, thank you, board. I would add this before we move. Comment.
Don't we have to-
Thank you. And just for clarification, I appreciate the fact that we've made expediency a part of the review of our financials. I know that we do have, staff here to help us know. My question is if there are any anomalies, if there's anything different. And it's just a very simple clarifying. I don't know if there are hiccups or bumps. I remember when we went through the one with GM being closed. I mean, how are we doing is what I want to know. We've suspended all of that and it's already been passed. The motion's been passed, so it's not in order for me to get that clarity, but I just wanted to let the board understand. I like to have some understanding of where we are and how it stands.
Yes.
And that's the only reason. And I'm not calling you up even, Randy, now to share that. I just wanted you to understand why it is. I just couldn't pass it, or clear it up. It's out of order for me to do that at this time. Thank you.
Well, Senator Haley, we had the information and it's on our website. So it's not like we're trying to hide anything.
I didn't suggest that it's being hidden. Just honestly, I've not been able to digest it all. It is pretty extensive. I don't have a background in finance or historically where we were. If this is on point or if it's an anomaly from where we've been before in previous months. And so I have not digested it. It is in front of us right here. And I just wanted to know by comparison from the professional insight, because I don't have the bandwidth or the ability to interpret it.
We still need to
We
move to
need a
approve the
motion.
actual financials. I think we
Thank
do.
you.
Okay.
Discussion down there.
I think so.
The next,
So,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
so before we move on, I would like to get a little bit of clarity on this as well. So what I would like to do is, probably add to a future, board meeting discussion about what does the board want to entertain in terms of adding to a consent
Yeah,
agenda?
and Bill, I think we have discussed on 2 occasions now that we need to take that up in the policy committee.
Yep, yep.
And as you know, we're in the middle of the customer service policies right now and
Okay.
hopefully get that to the full board here pretty
Right.
quick.
Okay.
So I would expect that the policy committee would take that up and bring it back to the full board soon.
That would help a lot, so.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
I think we require an actual vote for approval of the financials as in their written form.
You're correct. Thank you.
I move to approve the 2024 second quarter financials as presented in written form.
Parker, second.
Roll call.
Roll call. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Thank you. The next is our quarterly customer service update. I'll ask Abby Fry to come up and present on that tonight.
Good evening. Okay. Nope, you're good. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. So this evening I'm going to present a customer service update. I'll include metrics regarding the in-person lobby appointments, some customer data information, and then our new customer service scorecards. So with the customer service metrics, we'll start with the in-person appointments. As you can see for April, May, and June, along with the totals. The appointments that were created, completed, and canceled. The canceled appointments are, we reach out to the customer prior to them coming for their appointment to see if we can assist them before they need to come in. So that's what those canceled are. As you can see, we're canceling the majority of those. The ones that are being set are usually for billing questions or to start service. And then Janetta and I spoke today, and we are working on allowing customers to set in-person appointments via the phone. We're hoping to have that available to the customers by the end of this month.
So,
Yes.
the appointments, they're out of the April 40 appointments, 12 were completed. So 12 people came in and met with in the lobby
Yes.
with the representative. 28 that were canceled were
Yes.
because we reached out to those parties, customers ahead of time and resolved their issues, and they decided they didn't need to come in.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So just to renew, so what happens in real time? Is someone logs on to make an appointment or they can't call in at this point?
Not at this point. That's what I was saying. We're going to be adding that. We're hoping to have that availability by the end of this month. So then they can call and speak to a representative or leave a message, and we would call them back so they can set that appointment that way.
But as of today, if somebody wants to come to the lobby, they have to log on and make an appointment. Just to restate what I think I hear you saying, they can't call. And then they're given a time that is it still Monday through Friday up till 3, or what are those times that someone can set an appointment?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 to 3.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 to 3.
Mhm.
So if somebody happens to work during standard Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, they would not be able to set an appointment online up in order to come in and speak with someone personally about their issue.
Unless they wanted to come over lunch or another time,
Have to take,
just
yeah,
like a
okay,
doctor's appointment. Yeah.
okay, just like a doctor's appointment, and make sure your lights stay on. All right, and finally, there's no discussion still, and you know where I stand with this, the board
Yes.
does. This is not an adequate policy for lobbying. In my mind, someone should be able to just walk in, just to reiterate, I'm sorry, that's not, somebody should just be able to walk up, come over here at 8 o'clock in the morning or at 7 o'clock at night, like we had, prior to COVID, and be able to see somebody without logging on or even calling and just have an issue, and there should be someone there. But I'm just saying, beyond the phone calls or that are going to be implemented very soon that they could make, will the resolutions be in place for someone to, I mean, I'm interested in knowing what the resolutions were. The fact that they were canceled or completed does not show the rate of or the efficacy of them having it met. We don't know how the resolution was it favorable or unfavorable? If you, and I'm not asking you to gauge that. I don't know if you really
Yeah.
can, but that is a concern that I have.
Well, in speaking to the supervisor that typically reaches out to the customers, most of the time they're reaching out to start service, trying to understand what documentation is needed to be able to start their service. Sometimes they have a billing question. She stated that sometimes she's able to explain that over the phone and they're satisfied. Other times they go ahead and keep their appointment because they want to come in and speak to somebody. Same thing if they're starting service and supplying the information that's needed to start new service. Sometimes the customer would prefer to just come in and bring those documents versus sending those in. So those are typically the completed appointments.
Thank you, ma'am. And finally, do you have one person who's assigned to the lobby, or is it rotating among your current personnel, our current?
Right now it's rotated.
Okay.
Yeah, so there could be a couple different people depending, they're assigned a day.
And I guess one other question is, do we have bilingual or other means of interpretation for those who need assistance?
Yes, so when they set an appointment, they can check a box that says they're bilingual, and then we make sure that we have somebody bilingual available for them.
Okay, gracias.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Okay, moving on. For our customer service accounts, so each year is for January through June, so it's a year-over-year comparison. You will note a very drastic increase in the e-statement or e-bill. That is because of the MyMeter. So any customers who were already on e-bill and signed up for MyMeter, they're being double counted. So we're looking to separate out those numbers right now, but that's why that spike is in there. Along with the net metering, and the FlexPay accounts. On the next,
Can you go back a slide?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So this is, no, Rob, we'll go back there, right? So this is a year by year update on net metering accounts, but the total is around 350 right now.
So that is the total since inception. So that's the total that we have as of June 30th. It is actually 365 as of the end of July. The year over year is January through June. So you can see where we are January through June for 2024 at 51, where January through June of last year, we were at 62. So that's the comparison is year over year for the same time period.
Right. Okay.
Okay. The next piece, you'll see the customer service, the total pay arrangements, which are slightly up over last year. Next, I'd like to share with you about our customer service scorecards. We are establishing some new scorecards. Jeanette and her team have done a great job on building reports and collecting information for the customer service performance. And what we're doing now is we're going to take that information and create CSR scorecards, so at the individual agent level, and then also a roll-up. So this is a CSR scorecard. This would capture information that we would share every month with each agent on their performance, what they're doing, and we can benchmark them along the way. So average handle time includes the average talk time, the after call work, and the hold time. Then we take the average calls per hour by the agent and divide the average calls per hour by the center to get a call rate. We look at occupancy rate, which is basically the average handle time divided by their availability to be ready to take calls. We currently have a QA score, which is quality assurance. So we have somebody who listens to phone calls, who grades them on those, who offers suggestions on things that they could do better on the call for improvement. And then the call rate, occupancy rate, and QA score are weighted for an overall score. They'll see this month over month. The supervisor will meet with them, talk about areas for improvement, and look for trends and different things that they can do.
CSR stands for customer service.
Customer service representatives, thank you. So on the next scorecard, this would be the customer relations scorecard. So this is a roll-up where the agent's information will roll up collectively. And again, we can look at the calls offered versus the calls handled. We can look at an abandonment rate, the number of calls that are in callback in queue, our ASA or average speed of answer, and then again, the handle time, talk time, after call work, and hold time. And those will be averages of all the CSR agents rolled up to the average together. So this is a call center standard or a best practice that's typically done across any kind of call center in any kind of industry. It allows us to track trends. When you see this month over month, year over year, we can look for where we need to make improvements. We can show the progress that we've made. We can recognize CSRs when they do something really well. So if you see an improvement over 6 months, we want to recognize for them that achievement. And then just overall, the goal is to improve the customer experience. And so we can find those pain points and really hone in on what we can do to improve that for the customer. This will show you January through June, the scorecard for the customer relations group collectively. You will notice at the bottom, the ASA, which is average speed of answer, the handle time, talk time, after call work, and hold time. We've changed those metrics to seconds In the past, I think a lot of times that's been shared with you in minutes. And the reason for that is because you'll see the slightest movement. So for example, if your average speed of answer is 5 minutes, which is 300 seconds, and we reduce that by 20 seconds, and we're still rounding in minutes, you're still going to see 5 minutes. But if we're reducing that in 20-second increments every month, we want to be able to show where those improvements are happening. So that's why there's a conversion there. So going forward on the updates, you'll see this information to be able to look month over month, year over year. And we can talk about the initiatives that we're working on, the areas that we want to improve, any pain points, that sort of thing. Any questions?
It's still pretty high with the abandonment rate, but getting it from 24% down to 1/3 of that, that's pretty good. Yeah, I was concerned of the fact of whether or not we need to have more customer service agents. What is the customer service department think about that? What is the need right now?
So that's an excellent point. And so this can help us look for staffing needs as well, not only collectively if we need more people, but also if certain times of the day that we need more people. So like early in the morning or later and that sort of thing. With the abandonment rate in June at 8%, that's very low. Keep in mind, abandonment rate is not always it can be from the customer. Like if I'm calling in and I've already gotten into the IVR system or the automated phone system, and then I need to hang up because something else has come up, that could be an abandoned call. And so reaching 0 on that is usually not likely. So that's a very low rate right now. The area that I would like to focus on improvement is that callback and queue. And there's opportunity there where that's where customers are leaving a message basically, and we need to call them back. And so we are reducing. So at least we're moving in the right direction, but just continuing to reduce that. So less customers have to leave a message. They're getting the service that they need when they call, when it's good for them.
So the average hold time, you're saying these are seconds? In
Yes.
Seconds, so the average hold time, if I call in, the average hold time for June would have been 26 seconds?
No, ASA is average speed of answer. So that's your hold time. So that's 134 seconds. The average hold time is after you're on the phone with a customer service rep. If they put you on hold after you've connected with them, that's the hold time. So the ASA is where the average speed of answer. So that's how long it takes for you to connect to the IVR system before you get connected to an agent. Yes, right there. Thank you. So 134 seconds. And honestly, that's compared to, if you look at January, that is a significant improvement. My understanding is there was some staffing shortages at the end of 2023, some training. And so now that we are fully staffed, you'll see that that's making a significant impact on the average speed of answer, the handle time, the abandonment rate. We're seeing those positive impacts by having people trained and available to assist customers. Any other questions?
What is occupancy?
Occupancy rate. So that's where it's a formula. If you go back, can you go back just one more? So right there, the formula, we take the talk time, the hold time, and after call work. We add that together and you divide by the availability that they are to take calls.
Thank you.
Typically, you want to run around 85% occupancy rate. That's a good place. If you're running too high, back to your staffing question, if you're running at a 90% occupancy rate on a regular basis or 95%, you're going to burn people out. And the service level typically goes down. If it's too low, then there's an opportunity there. So that's about the sweet spot.
Thank you.
Good questions. Anything else?
Thank you.
All right, more to come on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, I'll ask HR to come up for its quarterly report. Dennis?
Thank you, Bill. Good evening, Mr. President and Board. I'm Dennis Dumovich. I'm the Director of Human Resources. So we're going to spend a few minutes just giving you an update with regard to some of the programs we have going on in the Human Resources Department. You can see the agenda. We talk a little bit about our general responsibilities. Spend most of our time giving you a functional update. So what are different functions within HR doing? And then talk briefly about our future strategies. So Rob, if we could go to the next slide. So we have with us a big part of our HR team tonight. We got Ashley Culp. She is our HR manager. Latasha Johnson, Bonnie Blosser, Jeff Rye, Karen Johnson Phillips are all here tonight, and you'll see them up here talking about their functional areas. So what does HR do basically? What are the general areas that we have responsibility for? So one is employment, talent, recruiting, retention. So how do we get our people on board and then try to keep them here at the BPU, the good ones anyway. And we deal with the not so good ones in employee and labor relations. So employee relations would deal with issues that we have with our people and complaints and things of that nature, performance issues. And then we also have responsibility for labor relations. So that goes way beyond just contract negotiations. We deal on a regular basis with our union leadership and working out grievances and things of that nature. We also have responsibility for BPU benefits and then our pay. Additionally, we provide training throughout the organization, and not only traditional training, but then also our safety training programs we have responsibility for. Then in addition to that, we have overall safety responsibility and workers' compensation claims, and we also do security for the BPU. Go to the next slide, Rob. So we've got with us Ashley Culp. She's our HR manager. She's going to come up and talk about talent, recruiting, and training.
Thank you, Dennis. All right. So for our talent and recruiting, the strategy that we are approaching is we are trying to provide quality candidates to hire. We want to participate in the community outreach by attracting diverse applicants. So we're increasing our participation in community outreach of Hispanic, African American women within the community. And our strategy is to reduce the time it takes to fill our vacancies. So by using these strategies, the following goals we have established for this year is increasing participation in the local Wyandotte County college job fairs, along with school career fairs and neighborhood association meetings. We have implemented an internship and scholarship program. We participate in college fairs that target the needs of our talent here and at BPU. We are working on rebranding recruiting materials and then automating the applicant tracking system. So Rob, if you can move to the next slide, please. So these are some of our highlights of our accomplishments. So in 2004, the HR team, we continue to do the community outreach. So far, we are having our bilingual recruiter. She attends the El Centro Career Day that they do bi-weekly. We have attended Turner and Piper's High School Career Days. We have had a member of our team go to Hazel Grove Elementary Career Days. We have continued going to the Kansas City, Kansas Career Fairs, and Donnelly College Career Fairs. So we are continuing that outreach. We have an internship program that we do during the summer. This internship program, we had one of our interns return from the 2023 summer, and we had 4 new interns that started within the environmental and engineering teams. And IT, we actually have an intern starting that will be all year local intern for our IT help desk that will be starting tomorrow. We continue to review data on diversity and qualified talent when it comes to how, like, the talent pool. So is the talent pool diverse when it comes to the qualified candidates? And we're starting to identify one position would be the journey level line workers. If you look at that on a market standpoint, the diversity of that is very low. They don't offer a lot of qualified diverse talent. So we had to come up with a way to develop diverse talent into this trade. And that starts with our pre-apprentice program. We have worked with Electric Ops to offer an entry into our apprentice lineman program that allows us to attract diverse talent and train them and develop them into the apprentice program to later be a journey level line worker to raise the diverse pool of qualified talent in that technical job. We recently did a pre-apprentice filled positions, and 3 of those applicants are diverse that will be going through the pre-apprentice. They will move into the apprentice and be future journey level line workers that will add and increase that diverse pool. So that's something that we're very proud of. And then also in the 24-25 academic year, we have offered 4 scholarships in STEM related, and these are local students that are also our customers. So let's go to the next slide. So here's some of our strategies that we are taking to continue attracting the best talent, is working on our rebranding, our look. What do we look like when candidates are looking, the top talent's looking for roles? So we're working on that to attract the best talent in the market. And then also the experience for the applicant. So together with IT, we're consistently looking at the application process and making it a better experience for our applicants moving forward. So that's something that we'll implement throughout, that we have been implementing and will continue implementing throughout the 2024 year. So let's move on to the next slide. I'm going to talk a little bit about training and development of our current staff here at BPU. So our goal is to provide high quality, cost effective training and development programs on to continuously grow our employees' knowledge and skills here at the BPU. So with that, we have so far, we are focusing on supervisor training. We've offered 6 different sessions in 2023 to allow supervisors come to develop their skills and knowledge of leadership. We have implemented a labor relation training called MARK, where we have an individual that comes in and trains. Labor relations is slightly a little bit different than employer relations. So their focus is on labor relations, since most of our population falls within the union. And then we have so far already 85% of our supervisors are trained along with the union business agent, and we have started adding the stewards into this labor relation training. In the upcoming weeks, we're going to be doing interview training, and that's part of our focus with the rebranding. And then it allows people to come in. Anyone that participates in the interview process will get interview training on how to conduct an effective interview. We are launching an online learning platform for our supervisors to make the training more accessible for them. And then we also have continued working on compliance training and offering knowledge-based skill development for our current employees here at BPU that don't fall within the supervisor. And then we continue to do our succession planning, which is in 2023, we implemented at the executive level. And now in 2024, we have started the directors. And what we're doing is we are looking at ways to develop our future leaders along with any talent gaps that we need to plan for in the future. So that's what we do with the succession planning. So thank you. You next. All right, so Karen. My name is Ashley Cole. Thank you.
And my name is Karen Johnson Phillips, and I am over employee relations with HR department. So the strategy with employee relations is to continue to improve on creating a positive and trusting work environment by open communication, consistency, transparency, and addressing employee concerns as they arise. This is basically being honest communication, being a good listener, And when a concern is presented, really letting know the employee that they are being heard, and then taking their concerns seriously and acting on their concerns as well. The goals is using the survey data from 2024 to create better employee engagement, provide a supportive atmosphere, investigate and mediate grievances and differences, and develop a trusting environment with all employees. We just finished our 2024 survey. I would say in the next 30 days, we should have the results ready, and we will be implementing whatever is brought to our attention, as we've done in some of our accomplishments from previous ones. So on the goal, my focus and the way I want to achieve these goals is by managing working relationships between all employees, whether it's bargaining to bargaining, non-bargaining, non-bargaining, bargaining to non-bargaining. It's about all employees and the willingness and openness to communicate with one another. The accomplishments. Okay. So accomplishments, we implemented the top requests from 2020 and 2022, the employee survey, which was better communication mediums, training programs, benefits, educations, et cetera. Part of that came the MARC training, which I actually touched on a little bit. MARC training stands for Management Action Response Checklist. So all the attendees that went to this MARC training, which is Ashley stated, has been our management employees and some of our union stewards, and we'll finish up the year with those as well. And then, of course, our business agent. They all received a binder, and this binder is easy to follow, suggestions, guidelines, and checklists, which the supervisors refer to and helps them with the communication between their bargaining and non-bargaining units. It's been a huge benefit for employee relations. I think it's been a huge benefit for people to sit down together and talk through their issues versus coming up and it escalating. So everything's getting resolved at a lower level as well. Lastly, I want to talk about the Culture Club. The Culture Club is a group of bargaining and non-bargaining employees that work together to try to create a good atmosphere with BPU. What we're trying to do is we're trying to improve. We want employees to come to work, enjoy their job, and improve the morale. Tasha Johnson and I are co-founders or co-chairs of this group as well. And like I said, we're working on promoting a sense of unity within the utility. So what we've done so far with the Culture Club is we have a monthly employee spotlight, or I should say department spotlight. So we will go to the department, we'll interview, we will do a little write-up about what the department does, something unique about the department that the rest of people in the utility don't know. We'll post pictures about them, and then we'll also get them some cookies to thank them for the jobs that they've done for the utility. And we post it on our internal website so everybody can see it and congratulate those people. And we are working on other groups too as well, kind of joining together and just working on employee relations together.
Good evening. My name is Bonnie Blosser. I'm the benefits specialist in the HR department. Our strategy with the benefits right now has been to continue to improve the communication and understanding of what we offer as far as our BPU benefit plans while saving costs. Our goals is to utilize multiple mediums to communicate to the team, make open enrollment automated and easy, implement cost-saving ideas to plans with little impact to employees, and improve understanding of health and retirement plans. So we're using all forms of technology that we can to communicate different things regarding our benefits so our employees have a better understanding. Some of our accomplishments, we've been sending out monthly benefit emails, texts. We've been using BPU Central to update. We've created a BPU benefits microsite. We've updated PeopleSoft for a much simpler open enrollment. We've conducted 4 retirement seminars for both Tier 1 and Tier 2 employees. We've made multiple pharmacy benefit changes that saved a lot of money, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, and impacted few employees. We've increased our BPU pharmacy rebates, which we're now averaging about $300,000 to $400,000 per quarter. Thank you.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name's Jeff Rye. I'm Manager of Safety and Security for BPU. And our goal, number one, is to provide a safe and secure environment in which all BPU employees can work. And that's what all of our goals should be. We want a safe place for everybody to come to work every day. And at the same time, we want to protect our facilities to the best of our ability. So our goals are to expand and enhance the security console and to provide better and more efficient 24/7 coverage for BPU facilities using technology. And one thing I think a lot of times people forget, we don't have just 5 or 6 major facilities. You know, we think of Nerman Water, Nerman Power, but we also have, excuse me, I've been fighting a cold, 26 substations, 14 water pumping stations, which includes reservoirs and water towers. So if you total that up, there are 51 facilities that we actually protect each and every day, and that we have employees working at most every day. So back to our goals, we want to make sure that we improve the PPE usage, which is personal protective equipment. And it's like if you buy a pair of gloves and you get that pair of work gloves or gardening gloves and you put them on that first time and the fingers twisted and they don't fit right and all that, well, you're not going to wear them. It's that simple. And so we've gone back to the employees through the safety committees and said, tell us what you want. What's it going to take? And so we really haven't spent any more money, but we've got a more comfortable PPE. Hard hats are a great example of it too. They're hot, they fall off their heads, and for less money, we actually found a better hard hat that they like, that fits so much better and stays on, and so therefore they wear it, which is improving our safety at the same time. So what it all actually goes back to is through employee involvement and letting them have the say in what they want and what works. Up to a certain extent, of course, we keep budgetary constraints in mind. But with that, we can get the right equipment for the right job. And with them having, input in it, they buy into it. And so therefore, it's important to them to go out and work safely. And we always say our goal every day is to get each and every person home to their most important stop, their family and friends at the end of the day. That's what it's all about. So back to flip over to the electronic surveillance, we do want to increase that this year. The Department of Energy says that they had over 200 attacks on substations last year alone. And that's not counting cybersecurity. That's not counting cyber attacks. That's solely attacks where something was physically done. And so our substations they're really lacking. They have a lot of old analog technology and we want to switch that over to digital. So Rob? With the work comp and some of the accomplishments, we've improved the technology. We've actually reduced a lot of security guards and replaced them with cameras, and our security console is monitored 24/7. We've got a real good plan set up. When you go in, you have multiple monitors, and now we've actually started monitoring our own fire. And in the past, we have had JCI monitor that, which is a monthly expense. This way, we've removed that from JCI, and now we're doing it. And we will continue to do that throughout this year. Water engineering is the next one to get it. And then I believe we move to Muncie, and then I think it's Trouble Board. But we will ultimately also monitor Nerman Power. And we have a program called Fireworks. Excuse me, and Fireworks actually allows us to monitor it very simply and at no fee. We're already monitoring everything else anyway, so it's just one more thing on our list. We've improved the injury reporting process, and we followed up. We've improved our investigation process as well. We don't go out and beat people up when they have an injury and, ask them why and how and what if. We talk about what could we have done differently? How are we going to prevent that from happening next time? And with that, what we found is that we're getting more reports of near misses than we are injuries. So the near misses, they report it, and then we respond to whatever it is that caused that or could have caused that injury and get that repaired. And we saved all of that. So we see that all the time, and we've moved valves even in the power plant to where a valve was made to where somebody had to reach up over their head and twist a valve 162 times. Well, does it make sense to drop the valve down to where it's in somebody's power zone and they can actually get to it? And we've done a lot of things like that. And so with the cameras, they also are twofold. You have the camera that is for security, but you also have the one that's for safety, to where people now, we can look at the cameras to where somebody used to have to go on the 10th floor of Nearman Power to look and check the stacks and make sure everything was exhausting properly. Now we have a camera up there. Takes 5 seconds to look at it and we can tell everything's functioning properly, and we don't have somebody climbing 20 flights of steps to get up there. So that's also a reduction in our overall injuries. The employer relationships, we want to make sure that everybody feels like they're a part of it. They are elected by their peers. We have a chairperson, co-chair, sergeant at arms, and a scribe at every facility. And they're self-directed meetings. We don't run them, they run the meeting. They tell us what they want to talk about. And the only thing that we do is we support them in order to make sure that we get things done that need to be done. And with that, I think we've got a lot of employee buy-in through it because we act on it immediately instead of waiting for 6 months to, for something to happen. We get to it and we follow up and make sure that it's taken care of. The last thing we're going to do is starting facility tours for new hires. I think a lot of times when we get new people in and you take a person working in customer service, they've never been to a power plant or a water plant or outside to where the meter is actually read or, where the meter is actually giving off the electronic signal today. But nevertheless, we want them to see how the organization comes together, and we think that it'll be beneficial to them in the overall scheme and make it easier for them to do their jobs just by having a general understanding. So, any questions?
Several.
Go. Go right ahead.
Well, as I've spoken to Dennis before, when I come to these meetings and I get a report, I really expect to hear a lot of the things that you stated, like how you've saved money, but I get a lot of I say conversation, a lot of words. I like to see data. I like to see the numbers. We've saved this much money. We've been able to dismiss this many security guards. We've been able to, those are the type of things I like to see. We are here at this point. This is where we are, but this is how we're moving. This is how we're moving. This is our goal. This is where we were. This is where we are. This is where we like to go. Those are that's the type of data I like to see when we come to these meetings. That way we're able to measure, the progress and be able to see it, the progress. And so
we have it all.
And I see, hey, trust me, I've seen a lot of it in the report, but there's some areas that it was missing. And so I like to see that when you have goals, the SMART goals, the measurable part. I like to see the measurable part, and how that's going to be achieved and where you plan to go. So that's all. I was missing that in some places, a lot of places in the report, and I like to see more of that. That's all.
And we have budget hearings coming up soon, and we address the HR numbers in the budget report. So you will see in our budget, safety and security, how many dollars we've reduced and what we had in previous years. Same with our benefit costs and our pharmacy rebates and all that. You will see that.
Yes, and I heard about the survey. The survey it's just completed. We're going to get that data pretty soon, so I'm sure that would help out a lot with a lot of the things.
And we actually do a full report to the board on the survey data, but we won't be all through that data for about 30 days. Then we'll come to the board, present the data to you, and then in addition to that, what are we going to do with those findings? So what are our goals from that?
Very good.
Sir, do you have any more questions for me?
No. You mentioned two high schools. You only mentioned two out of the many high schools we have in the metro area. Is there a reason why we only have two, and and those being Turner and Piper?
No, we just gave some recent examples,
Okay,
but we
okay,
participate in KCK school.
Okay, I was about to say, because I know that you've been to a local high school okay, thank you.
Yeah, we do multiple, typically school districts,
Yes, sir.
when they have their career days, then that's where we go.
Thank you, thank you.
You bet. Excellent questions. So last slide, future strategies, where is it HR is going to go? Some of the programs that we're working on here in the near future is to improve our employee engagement. You know, Abby and the HR department are teaming up to work on employee engagement and what people want and need. Some of that will be the survey data that comes out, and we'll take that information with employee engagement in general, the studies that we've participated in, and then have best practices come out of that. We're going to enhance our diversity education and candidate sourcing. We're in the process of hiring a professional HR position that is focused on diversity training, diversity hiring, and beyond that, we're going to have that person also help us from the procurement perspective, so purchasing MBE initiatives. So we've got that coming up, and that position's posted, and we're receiving applications for it right now. We're also going to partner with our operations team, as you heard from Jeff, to better secure our substations and our water pumping stations. The things we've done to secure our main facilities have been tremendous, but these substations and pump stations are targets. And we are going to improve those. And so you'll see in our capital budget the request to continue to add technology from a security perspective so we can better protect those areas. And then we're going to partner with IT to improve the employee self-service technology, so that it's easier not only for our people to make personal changes, but also easier for people to apply to BPU and not have to jump through all the hoops that they have to now. We're going to simplify that process by getting better applicant tracking software and things of that nature. So those are some of the things that we'll be working on. But you had great questions, and a lot of that data you'll come out in the budget process from us, and then we will follow up with a survey presentation. Any questions?
No, thank you very much. Appreciate this overview is excellent. It really helps. You mentioned the budget review, and recently it was pretty provocative line item when the UG, we were watching them, and they talked about attrition, those who might be cycling out of the current positions. That was one, and the other, those positions that have not been filled, that we may have had listed for some time. Do we have many positions that have been dormant that have not been filled for a while? If so, how many approximately?
So you'll see that in our staffing presentation coming up, but we've reduced tremendously since Bill's been here, the number of vacant positions that we have. And so, you're always in flux, filling positions, losing people. But right now, I think we're around 50 vacancies throughout
50.
the entire utility.
And approximately how long have they remained vacant? I mean, I know it's going to vary, but is there a mean average?
Well, the staffing presentation
months.
will have that. We'll show you actually a history of how we've reduced the vacancy time for our open positions. So we continue to reduce those. But we'll have that data for you here coming up as one of the first budget presentations, I think, Bill, is on staffing.
And what's our overall employee? What is our number? I hear so many different ones. Approximately.
How many employees
do we have?
So we have, again, it fluctuates from day to day, but we have approximately 503 employees. So it'll go between typically 495 to 505 is typically where we hover. Our attrition rates, a little bit less than 6%, with 2% of that being retirements. So we have, a pretty good retention rate of our employees. But understand, every person that leaves an employer costs you about 1.5 times their salary to fill that position back. 2 times for a manager. So that's for an hourly position. For a manager, it's going to be more like 2 times their annual salary. So keeping that number low, which BPU has a very good attrition rate or turnover rate, that keeping that numbers low is critical to save money for this organization.
You said
all right.
503 employees. Does that include the 50 positions that aren't filled? Or is it,
No, that is number of employees,
okay, so we have
Active.
we have a slot for 550.
approximately. I think you'll see that in the staffing. I want to say it's like 555 or
So it's
553.
503 is actual
That's
employees.
today.
as of today. Give or take.
Yeah, tomorrow after, a couple of these people had to do their presentation, we might be down to 501. I don't.
So if I can jump in, and Dennis stay there so you can help me. We're in a highly competitive market. I know that comes up quite a bit on BPU. The salary, the conversations comes up. I know there's a lot of things that come up. How many vacancies we have? There's some jobs are easier to fill than others, quicker to fill than others. Some of them simply take the time because, first of all, what is the available jobs in the market, in the Kansas City market? What is the available jobs in the region? And we are looking outside the market quite a bit to try to recruit and bring in talented, employees. But, when you ask that question, it's not all jobs have to be looked at differently because some jobs do take that much longer. What we've had to resort to is continuing to look at more effective ways of recruiting, but at the same time, we know that we have to end up training our own employees. And you have to do a combination of both. So the internships, the scholarship program, and I'll thank the board for approving that part of the budget. We do have, was it 3? Four
scholarships?
Yeah. 4 scholarships. They're all KCK students. They all, and one of the requirements is you have to go to high school in Wyandotte County. Another requirement is your parents have to be customers of BPU. And then you have to have certain, career, certain academic achievements and there are some other requirements in there. But, and then you also have to be, have your education targeted to one of the STEM programs. And we kind of identified, what fits into that category. Because engineers, scientists, environmentalists, those are the things that we struggle with, because we can't always match efforts with the other larger utility or Black and Veatch or Burns and Back and, like that. So we're starting young. We're taking colleges, high school students, finding out where they're going, bringing them back in the interns, trying to also, help on both ends of that and hoping that we certainly bring them back in as future employees. I think some employees already, I don't have to name their name, that grew up in this community, went to college, came back to work. They've done presentations to the board in the past and you've gotten to know them. We're trying to amplify that, because we know that there's talented individuals in our city, and not just in those STEM programs or non-union positions, but we're also targeting high school students with some of our skilled positions too, and trying to get them hired into the utility better now than what we've ever done in the past. So those are part of our efforts.
Yes,
Dennis, if you
and
want.
those engineering interns that Ashley talked about, they're local kids, all in engineering programs that we intend, when they get done, to be able to hire them as engineers. That's an area we struggle recruiting. We've got Kiewit, Black and Veatch, all these companies we have to compete with. We found growing our own is our best resource. Darren McNew can talk about the success that engineering intern program has had for that department as well as our water department. So it's a big success. We hope our pre-apprentice line worker program is just as successful. Again, we've got, minority kids, many of them local, in this first full-fledged program that we're growing as pre-apprentices that can potentially move into the apprenticeship that then can become journeyman linemen. Because we found through Local 53, about 6% of their entire population are minority or minorities. And so we can't hire those folks. It's very difficult to bring them in, so we're growing our own.
And my hope is then is someday you'll be able to stand here and bring in a couple of female women and introduce them to.
Believe me, we are trying, we're working at that.
Mhm. I appreciate that. Let me just briefly revisit what we're saying, especially because I'm glad to know that we still have a residency requirement for those who'll be here. And so certainly if they're our own already, they're coming out of our schools and through our programs, that's helpful since our BPU employees are also residents of the county. And trust me, there are people coming in from other places, even to run for office, that are coming from different places that, so we don't even have our candidates here necessarily. The question I have is though, for again, those 50 employees, what the stale date or stale line is. We're looking at the budgeting process, that if a position is left vacant for any tremendous length of time, if it's in the budgeting process, the UG recently took 40 positions off that had sat for some time in their budget. So the 40 positions that they had, they're no longer there because they sat vacant for so long, and they're taking, I think, another 20 off through attrition. Are there such opportunities from positions that have sat vacant for a certain period of time of the 50 that you mentioned that should be taken into account as you put your budget together? And I'm not asking what that number is, but just
Yeah,
to
no, that's
raise that as an
exactly
issue.
what we do. We target any positions that we eliminate, we target those positions that haven't been filled for a long period of time. So those are the first ones that we look at. Now, I can't remember the total number of positions we eliminated last year, but I know the previous year we eliminated 10 roles, 10 positions out of, 500 jobs. That's a significant amount of positions that we've cut. So we look intently as a team. It's not just HR. It's certainly, Bill, our CFO, it's Abby, it's each of our COO, Jeremy Ash. We all sit down and look to identify what roles we can do without.
Thank
you. Excellent question.
We also report those job reductions every year too, and BPU has been pretty consistent over time with reducing the workforce, because that is a huge budget concern. When we go and ask the board to approve our budget, it certainly make up a large percentage of our of the components that go into our rates, just for our operating expenses, capital expenses. So, but over time, I don't want to look at anybody else but BPU, so I'm not going to answer part of that question. But we have periodically over decades have reduced staff, but to offset that, we've introduced a lot of technology so that our services don't suffer, whether it's customer service, whether it's reliability of our systems, whether it's a number of things we do. We've replaced that, but at the same time, the intention is not to replace everything. I mean, we do need to have qualified, skilled workers here, professionals here. And we're certainly taking a look at how much of that now can we grow? How much of that, how do we strategically look at different areas in our recruiting so that we can also attract some of the best talent that's out there.
Glad to hear that. One quick question, final. Were any of these 50 positions that are still vacant, were they in last year's budget? Or are there any vacancies that have been held over for a year or 2 years? 2 years. Let's say 2 years.
I don't know if they've been vacant. They've all been a part of that previous budget. They may have been filled and then somebody left and it's been vacant for 2 months, or that's most of what you're going to see there are just.
But not for a full year. There hasn't been a vacancy for.
There could be. We haven't looked at that yet to see how many have been over a year, but those will be at the top of the list.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Appreciate it, Dennis. Thanks.
Sure. Any other questions of Dennis? Thank you, Dennis.
All right, thank you.
Good, thank you. Next, I'll move into miscellaneous comments. Dennis and I met with CBIZ last week, had a very good kickoff meeting with them. It was just to kind of set the stage for them scheduling and us scheduling a meeting with the board to, because they do want to meet with the board as a whole, and then they want to do some individual meetings, interviewing of the board for the GM cert. So need to lock in some time, hopefully over the next week or so we can continue the process. I don't know if I need that tonight or if you want to think about that, but I do need to report back to him on how we continue to move forward through this process.
I'm flexible.
Does anybody have any? I think we need to do it sooner rather than later.
We do. To maintain the schedule that's been laid out in front of you, yes, it's important to continue it.
Ideas from the board, questions, comments?
Feel like we have a lot of important issues to deal with right now. I don't know where that sits in the priority list.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
I need to look at my day job calendar. I can't commit to that as I sit here tonight.
Okay. I'll send out an email to the board and just ask for your feedback.
So they want to meet with the board as a whole.
We want to meet with the board as a whole and then have a series of meetings individually as quickly as they can get through. So,
And then
they'll lay out the plans and they'll basically is looking at who the board wants to, what type of GM does the board want to have in the future. So, I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff that goes with that, but it's just basically picking your brains and then making sure that you have a collective discussion with the board as a whole.
Not to throw too much of a wrench in it, I just want to flag for sending out dates that I'm out of town all of next week.
Okay.
Though if they need to meet with the full board and there's still that opportunity for one-on-one,
Well, and it could be
I'm okay
one-on-one and then go back to the board. I mean, I think there's some flexibility with how we proceed. It's just, just simply trying to help the board with this process. So
I'm good with any time you choose.
okay. All right. I'll send something out. I don't know that there's anything else. And certainly I know it's been a long day, so I will ask the public, is there anything that you want to address the board with based on today's conversation on this agenda? If you can state your name and address for the record.
this time is for comments on things that have been on the agenda, this evening's agenda.
Right.
General comments were,
Understand?
okay.
Okay.
Name and address, please.
Carolyn Wyatt, Fourth and Troop. I was listening to the report from personnel or from Mrs. Let me bring my phone. Well, she mentioned, they mentioned different schools that they were working with for apprenticeship or whatever, something like that. But they didn't mention any inner city schools. They mentioned Piper, maybe
Yeah.
Turner, but and even grade schools,
Right.
but no inner city schools where you can get a variety of a culture
Right,
of
right.
young people.
Right.
I think that's very important that they mention those, because if they don't mention them, it's like, maybe it's not.
Right.
So I'd like them to mention it also.
Right. So I don't know if you heard, but the question was asked similar to that, and Dennis said that they have met with every school district. So, and that would incorporate the inner city schools if they met with USD 500. He didn't list them out, the school by names, but it was the Piper district, the Turner district, USD 500 district, and I believe the Bonner district. Dennis, all that should come back
We
up.
didn't mention them either, but we have done career days with them. So
Okay.
we just looked at the last quarter, the most recent, but yeah, we do participate with all our inner city schools, as well as we'll do a metropolitan career fair as well with both Casey Mo and Kansas City, Kansas schools. They all participate in that.
Okay, I just want to emphasize that because
Okay.
that.
So my goal here is to make sure that we're visiting with every school and giving every citizen, every student an opportunity to either gain a scholarship, as much as we can afford to go there, and also have employment here at BPU. That's the goal, because we know that we know what the demographics look like in terms of wages, in terms of people living here, not living here, working here, not living here. We simply need to turn that around so that our citizens are gaining a paycheck that can help sustain their lives, just like others in the metropolitan area. So,
Because minority could mean, it could mean women.
yes,
It
well,
could
we talk,
mean, so minority could mean a lot of things, so a lot of things have to be spelled out, so that.
that's why it was important to speak to that today. I mean, my goal is to
30
improve
seconds.
our diverse workforce and make sure that minorities are fairly represented. But we also want to make sure that they are qualified and to be able to do those jobs, but it's also our job to be able to locate them and bring them into the utility.
I appreciate it. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Is there anyone else?
Louise?
Yes, I just had a few questions and comments. One, when we were talking about the customer service scorecards and the different categories, it appeared to me that most of it was centered around business aspects, for lack of a better term, in regards to talk times and average handling times and speed and how many we can get out and everything. But there was nothing mentioned as to, was the call handled properly according to the customer? Did the customer get satisfied, and were they actually serviced in the way that they needed to? And were any of those calls abandoned because either they waited too long or maybe they did not like a certain aspect of the call? And I want to thank Senator Haley for saying one of the things that we'd like to see is the lobby open regular hours. This 9 to 3, 3 days a week, or 11 to 3, 3 days a week just doesn't cut it for most people. Most people, a lot of people still do not have computers or are not comfortable in using computers to make appointments. So they suffer the most. So expanding that would be great. Even if they can make an appointment on a phone, is not the same as seeing someone face to face, especially when you have the older population that is not their norm. To ask them to change their way of life in the last decades of their life is wrong. So I would really like them to look at all of those things and maybe do a survey to those customers, maybe even anonymously. Are they really getting serviced? Or are they being given the opportunity to take the call, or sucks to be you? Are those really true, accurate representations of what's going on? I would really like to know that. That's number one. The other thing I'd like to address is this employment issue and these positions that you have available, and I'm glad you have diversity. That is great. But when I hear across the county that people equate diversity with the Hispanic population with El Centro, it makes me cringe. We know that our chief of staff from the UG came from El Centro and has a lot of weight. That, to me, and among others, would make us think that it's because of a connection is how you get through. I would like to know how an organization such as mine, Community Conscience Action Network, can be a part of that, fulfilling those positions and helping to recruit people at the grassroots level who have those needs and have the qualifications necessary to fill those jobs. Not all of the people in the grassroots are uneducated or don't have those
That
qualifications.
is 3 minutes.
I think we need to look at that, and I would definitely like them to contact me to see how we can help with that and people on another level. El Centro can't just be the only place.
No,
Thank you.
Louise. Thank you.
I agree. So
Thank you.
I will follow up on one comment, and that is earlier this year, we did a customer service survey. And it was probably more extensive than anything we've done. It would use a third party to bring that out, and that Dennis come up and help me. I don't know how far back that was, but I do know that's on our website, and it was presented to the board, all the results of that. And Abby, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the customer survey. So that was done, it was presented to the board back in May. And what you're speaking about is a transaction survey. So we have a survey where customer can leave feedback regarding that specific transaction. In addition to that, one of the metrics on the individual agent score is their QA. So we do listen to the call and listen. Did the CSR handle it appropriately? Was it escalated? Were all the questions answered? Those sort of things. And so that is a component of it. And while it does, there is a business aspect of it, the intention is really to be able to better serve. We don't want customers waiting longer than they have to. And we don't want really short calls. That is not the intent. And that's what we've told the employees. You don't want calls too short. You don't want them too long, because if they take too long, we can't get to enough calls. And so it's finding that perfect balance. And so as we go through and look at the data, we'll continue to make adjustments and tweaks, but really the intention is to provide the best customer experience. Absolutely.
We can't just go online and do that.
Yeah, and that's why, and and of course, we'll be adding other features that we can do and trying to find ways where we can assist customers on the way that they want to do business.
Yes, and thank you for those comments as well, Ms. Lynch. We will follow up with you. We're happy to come out to neighborhood groups, and if the board has any suggestions as well of groups that we should contact, we're happy to do outreach to them. So.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? And this is comments on the agenda presented tonight. This is comment section on the agenda that we
Yes,
presented
yes.
tonight. Yes.
This is a comment, the HR, or maybe you guys can help out. On our community college, how many people from the community college that graduated is working in your facility? That's the first question.
Well, you're talking to one. I'm a Blue Devil alumni.
Right.
So.
And that's from
You're
here.
talking to one here.
Yeah, and so we don't track that necessarily. I know we have a significant number from the community college, and we work with the community college on training programs, whether it's with our mechanics, and we team up to do presentations to our employees. So we are very cognizant of that community college and the value it brings.
Thank you.
Well, I think we used to have a couple of employees that taught. A couple of our engineers went and taught classes there too. So
My next question would be, I'm sort of losing it. I'm sort of forgetting that, but I've lost my train of thought. But that was what I was really wanting to find out, is how many of our college students from community college was actually being brought over to the workforce. Because what we're finding out in the community college, when we went out there, we're finding out that when we went to their meetings, that they're actually going out into other communities and going across state line because of certain reasons or whatever. But that's what I was curious about that. I'd like to see them stay here and get a benefit from paying all the money to educate, and another thing, on these maintenance men and stuff that you guys are training and stuff, they have, let's say your electricians, they have a free college for 4 years, basically, in the electric industry. And that's something that you guys, if you're spending a lot of money on that, that's something that you guys can do as in that aspect. The electrical engineers and stuff there could help you out and save you some money possibly on training. And then on the millwrights end, they've got training 4 years. Millwright 1529 and other locals can help you on doing that. The pipe fitters local, they do all
have
the
30
training for
seconds.
free. You wouldn't have to do any training at all. All you have to do is, it's already taken care of within 4 years. And I know that through the years that they're in that plan. Every one of them unions are doing the same job as your maintenance guys and stuff like that. And I know you've hired some in the past. And I'd like to see that continue. And maybe instead of all the training that we're paying for as taxpayers, we wouldn't have to pay for that part.
That is 3
I
minutes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments.
Some things that have been said here tonight bring the question to my mind. Quality education is a major issue right now in Wyandotte County, particularly in USD 500. And it seems that you are making arrangements or adjustments in order to, because most of the apprenticeship programs require pre-testing to get into those programs. By creating that pre-apprenticeship program, is that intended to address the quality of the education that you're seeing in our children in this district, particularly USD 500 and maybe also Turner, Edwardsville, so forth? Are you having difficulty with our children being able to pass those exams to get into apprenticeship programs?
Well, this is the first time we rolled this program out. So my hope is over time, it'll become even more successful over time. But it is taking people from this community and giving them an opportunity. They have to have a certain physical skill set that has come up.
Thank you. No, it's an excellent question. We do have an aptitude test that they have to qualify for to even qualify for the pre-apprenticeship program. So we have an aptitude, a physical agility, interviews. We put everybody through all of that. And your point's well taken. We want to have good qualified people, but we have found that we can find Wyandotte County young people that can meet those qualifications. And if they can, and we have those positions available, then we look first at those folks.
I find that the children are struggling to meet those qualifications.
Well, just, there are a number that do pass that test, so I can, yeah, there are a number that don't as well, but that's just that small subset that apply for this particular job, so I couldn't speak overall as to the quality of education in Wyandotte County, but we do have some that do pass it, that are local.
Give you maybe we can share some of that data, because we'd like to help to improve the system so they can pass those things.
Sure, we're happy to talk with you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. President, I'll go ahead and turn
I
it.
think there's one person had their hand raised.
Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot about online.
iPhone, I'm enabling your ability to speak. You'll need to unmute.
Hello, thank you. This is Ty Gorman again from 2843 Parkwood Boulevard. Wanted to address the UG budget again, in the sense that a lot of the outreach programs that could have brought customer assistance of various kinds and outreach programs on energy efficiency have been gutted in the recent budget on the same timeline that the federal programs were required to pay in. So we're dropping the UG staff that could have been outreach at the same time that we're supposed to be getting money from on the tune of tens of millions of dollars from sources such as KCC, Mark, Tic Tac, Governor's Office for continued federal Inflation Reduction Act programs that require outreach into the community that could really help a lot of these vulnerable ratepayers. So I know that BPU has two roles that it's talking about HR and outreach in the community, that it would be amazing if they could take the lead on at this point as UG drops the ball apparently. And one is the energy efficiency program for outreach and for contractor registration and training on not only the contractor side for home installation, but the utility side for including these peak reductions in the integrated resource plan, and the capital plan, and the data you're receiving as far as the LOLE study from the Southwest Power Pool, which is likely to require a 33 to 36% winter planning reserve margin that would really improve customer payments and capital improvement plan ability to meet our capacity for this region if we had peak reductions in efficiency and demand response already set up. So I know a lot of this is known already by the staff, I know, but just wanted to give my appreciation to these HR improvements, and I hope that maybe the BPU, now that the UG seems to have abdicated responsibility for staffing up based on these federal programs, can step in and use these good local
10
programs
seconds.
to staff up. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Rob, is there anyone else? Okay. Mr. President, I'll turn it back over to you for board comments.
Board comments, Rose?
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I've only been in elected public service position for a little over 4.5 years. And while I still feel a very strong need to serve my community in some way, as I sit here tonight, I find myself questioning whether or not I even make a difference in this role. I think any resident who has contacted me throughout my tenure would say they believe I care about how decisions and policies of BPU affect our customers, especially the most vulnerable. I take the impact of every vote we take as a board very seriously. But no matter how much effort I put into trying to be a good steward of this utility, I find myself wondering tonight if the opposition to change, progress, and transparency in certain pockets of our community is just too great to overcome, rendering any efforts in this role to achieve cultural changes and greater transparency at this utility useless. I'm going to really think about this. I'm going to pray about it as we continue to try to solve our impending budget issues. Because if I conclude that my efforts to date are rendered useless, it may require me to find a different way to serve my community than through this board. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mary?
I usually try to use this minute to recognize somebody, and I got an email from a customer around 69th and Parallel, and his power in his community was out after that storm last Sunday night. So he wanted to tell me that these 4 linemen deserved some kind of recognition for working in the 100-degree weather and the extreme humidity to get his community's power back on early Monday morning. And I don't know their last names, and I don't know that he did, but I know that Mr. Ash has already given them the recognition from the Mr. Phillips that contacted me. But so I'm just tonight shouting out to linemen Trenton, Justin, Joe, and Austin. Thank you for your work after the storm last week. And also, I wanted to take this time to tell Karen and Tasha, I've been reading a little bit about the Culture Club, so I'm glad tonight to hear more about it. And thank you to HR and customer service tonight for your presentations. That's all I have.
Brett?
I also want to thank staff for their presentations and fielding all of our questions. Also just really want to give my appreciation for community members who have engaged with us so much through my short time on the board, but especially tonight. Obviously, there are some big things in the air, and I appreciate the thought that many of you have put into how those decisions are made, how they affect those of us sitting here, some of those tough decisions ahead. Please know that while I know that coming before us and some of the advocacy you do, you may sometimes feel frustrated by those of us on this side of the table. But I want you to know that we hear you. We're thinking through those same things. I think there's a lot of information gathering at this point. So I don't want to say too much more than that, but I do appreciate the engagement and the thoughtful comments that people have brought to us, and know that we are listening and also working to see how this may impact the community that we live in and the people that we represent and care about. Thank you.
Mr. Wakes?
Thank you. Let me also echo sentiments of Rose. I do want my service, I just started this year, I do want my service to have meaning. I would like to see, when I started my campaign, one of my tenets of my campaign was that we have greater communication between BPU and the unified government. And I hope that we can move forward with that going forward as we continue to move ahead. So please know, we try to emphasize this and try to help us to remember that we are an agent, I guess, of the unified government. The decisions that affect us are every decision that the unified government makes regarding us. And so we heard comments from the public, and thank you for your comments. Please make these decisions. Well, we make decisions based on the unified government commissioners' decisions, because like we are agents of the unified government. So we would love to make decisions that are based on what we want, but they represent the entire unified government, and commissioners will give directives to us that we must follow. And so we try to make that clear at most of our meetings so that you understand. But great presentations tonight from HR and from customer service. The idea and the desire to have the lobby open is a great desire. But when I look at other utilities, they don't have lobby opens. Are they able to serve the customers? To hear that telephone service is becoming much better. I think if we could get that to the rate to where other utilities are with customer service, I think customers would be happy and satisfied with that, but we're not there yet. And so they still ask for the lobby to be open because that's one way of communication. But I think if we could get to where other utilities are with the phones, I think we'll be doing great. And we would not need to have lobby because there's no other utility that you can go into the lobby and exercise business. So keeping that in mind, I know it was a strategic move by our general manager to have that done. However, we weren't quite prepared to deal with it, our customers, and that's why they're, I believe, unsatisfied right now. But I think we're on our way to getting there, and I hope that our customers can be patient with us as we move in that direction. Thank you.
Senator Haley?
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Let me just echo what has been said regarding those that have taken the time to be here. from our general public to express concerns in both sections of our review. I appreciate that, the advocacy and the tireless commitment that's made and that you take, and those that are online as well that called in. It's much appreciated. It's kind of who I want to be, or who I hope that we'd have more of in terms of advocacy and expressing and echoing those goals. Thank you. And thank you too to our customer service and to HR to review. I always learn at these meetings. It has not been one time that I have not been enhanced by the presentation. Certainly tonight is yet another example of that. Transparency and accessibility and a lower rate and quality service are the tenets that bring me or brought me to this challenge of being on the board. Transparency in why we have the bills we have, and as all of us know, I think it was alluded to, it's the elephant in the room. There are changes going in our parent organization, the unified government, and their expectations, or the shifting, the buck, the opaque shift as between where we stand now and what costs are incurred by all of us and how those will be billed. That's going to be a monumental task for accuracy and inclusion and awareness of what we're actually confronting here as we come to grips with that and as we look at our budget ahead. Access continues to be something that if I'm the only one here, I don't care, that says that we need to have a full-time lobby. I've been the only one here among our board. I'll continue to be. I know, I don't care. I don't want us to be like everybody else. I want us to be the best. I want us to be the most accessible. I want us to be the most fair for those who don't have the opportunity to access this. We need to have the lobby full-time open. And again, that's like it always was, and is now the excuse that after COVID, we don't have to be as good. And there are many people who are falling through the cracks who I hear from all the day. If you talk to the people who staff in the guard stations out front, how many people come or trying to have some access here, since we have a guard there all the time and who need to have something addressed, you would understand, those a member of the board, that the general public cannot always access online or during the time that they need to be here to have their issue resolved. I appreciate customer service suggesting that everything is okay in River City with what we have. It's not. We need to have greater access, at least in this one humble opinion. Finally, as I said, the rate reductions and concerns that we have or that we need to have addressed are going to be under great challenge. I think we all know that. There's no hiding from that. And we will have to find a way to address that. I did say finally, and I'm not a Baptist preacher with all due respect to my colleague, but I had one more closing, and it just came to mind. That is I am concerned when perhaps one of our colleagues who has been the member who has been the ostensible leader for much of my views has expressed her concern as to that. I would encourage her, who, because of her leadership, has brought courage to me to stand up when I was alone with her on this board and bringing some of those issues together, to be encouraged. There's a song that says, these are the times, the difficult times that try men and women's souls. But as we confront these challenges, we can't feel no ways tired. And it's time really to say that we did sign up and we have these terms in front of us. That's why we're here. And while we're still here and a board that can address it until we're co-opted by our parent organization, if indeed that's the fact, we need the able minds and the caring hearts and the abilities that are superior to perhaps all of us here to remain steadfast. And I would encourage her to do so as she has been encouraged to me. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, I'd like to just more or less echo the comments that have been made. Thank the staff for their presentations. Thank the customers who are constituents who showed up and made their feelings known. It's always important and always enlightening and important for us to hear I also want to take this time to thank my fellow board members for the time that they put in and the consideration that they put in all these matters. It's important to every one of them. I know that. I know that they speak from their hearts, and they really and truly do have the best interest of our community at heart. It's tough and we don't always agree, but it's there. I see it. I see it in our board. So I want to thank them too. And then just as a personal thing, our first meeting in September 4th, I'm having my 55th wedding anniversary. I had a trip, or have a trip planned, and I was supposed to be gone Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I found out that because of transportation issues, I'm gonna have to leave a day early. So I will not be here in person on the 4th. So either Mr. Haley can conduct that meeting, and I will try to attend remotely, depending on if I'm in the air or on the ground or wherever I'm at. Or if, we may consider changing the date to one day earlier if that would, suit the board too. So something to think about, and maybe we can discuss it further at the next meeting. Other than that, thank you. Thank you. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Gonzalez.
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
That motion carries. The meeting is adjourned.